Hello and welcome back to the Dicebreaker podcast. This is episode 37, Lolies.
More than 11.
What?
Yeah.
Surely
37.
the bingo call for more than 11 is 12.
Yeah, no,
Or
more
literally
than 11,
any number.
37. That is
What
the big one. Also,
the
I
hell?
hear that, that's bad, right? I heard that you didn't do last week's one either, so I want to catch
Oh.
us up on that one.
Oh, thank
good.
goodness.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah.
The bingo call for 36 is 3 dozen.
It doesn't rhyme.
No, it's just maths.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not maps. It's a bastardization. If anything. Screw
Wow.
you, bingo.
Well,
But, I mean, more than 11 has to take it, surely.
Yeah. At least it rhymes, though. Jesus.
this is why bingo's fallen out of fashion.
Yeah. At least they bloody tried.
I'm imagining Michael Whelan's face on the front of a newspaper, shaking his fists, and underneath says, "Screw you, bingo."
Man yells at cloud.
Yeah. We are, of course, here to chat about board games and tabletop RPGs and all sorts of tabletop stuff. But you may recognize, yes, bingo, I guess, is a tabletop
It's
game.
a tabletop game. It is.
Let's not
It's,
get into this
it's on it.
again.
If anything, it's a LARP.
We can't become the bingo cast. You may recognize, well, he may or may not be a familiar face to you if you've been browsing the Dicebreaker website the last few weeks. We are very honored to be joined by Chase Carter this week. Hello, Chase. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Hey,
Hi.
howdy. I was really trying to think about how southern I wanted to go with my intro since I think this is the first American you've had on the cast.
Yeah,
yeah.
You didn't say y'all, which is the only thing that English people know about Southern America. So.
Howdy, y'all.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah. Chase has been educating me in the ways of Southern American living.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think that I've done my homework for today's episode.
Meehan is now an honorary bell.
What homework, Meehan? I'm so confused.
I mean, it's
Been
nice
eating
to just-
exclusively barbecue food.
Preparing for her
hasn't come up.
debutante.
Yeah.
It's mostly just Chase and I talking about the differences between like pumpkin pie and treacle tart,
Mm-hmm.
and also talking about characters we fancy in the chat.
There is lots of that.
Jarvis just sits
I'm
there. at the
not
side.
sure that's a Southern American thing, but
No, it's just something we like to do.
Right. Thirst
Yeah.
is universal.
but yes, yeah, like I say, if you've I don't know how to tangent out of that, so I'm just gonna
You
also
never
like,
will, Matt. And that's what we love
no.
about
Sometimes you just got off. Moving on. Yes, you may recognize Chase from the website where he's been breaking some fantastic stories over the last few weeks. So if you haven't read those, go and check them out. But like I say, we're very, very happy for you to be here today. And I'm going to go straight over to you. Oh, right. I didn't introduce everyone else. You know, Lolies, Meehan and Wheels. We're here.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. We've got an exciting new
Suspect.
person now.
Yeah, Dad doesn't like us anymore.
We know who the favourite child is now.
I mean, when you open on bingo and every week it tries to go into 15 minutes of bingo discussion, sometimes you just gotta, it's the equivalent of just facing the road and driving while the kids squabble in the back. But
Are we
let's-
there yet, Matt Jones?
I don't think we'll ever be there, Wills.
Wheels is definitely putting like a whoopee cushion underneath Lolies as we speak, for sure.
But yes, we'll throw straight over to you, Chase, as you're the new face on the podcast this week. What have you been playing this week?
Ooh, so I have reintroduced myself to an old friendship, someone I used to spend a lot of time with in college, and together we did make a lot of really great decisions. I'm, of course, talking about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I knew it.
So I've been playing in Arena. I started that up, and I have sort of set myself the goal of seeing how far I could get in Arena without spending a single American dollar, one bent penny into that machine. And so far, it's going all right with the daily missions and stuff like that. I've been sort of reintroducing myself to the game. I've played a lot in college, and then of course that set me off to go into my closet and pull out the 2,400 or so cards that I have shoved back into a part of my closet, and I've begun pulling those out and checking out what I have sort of snuggled away into cardboard boxes. Not a lot of playing, Yeah, listen, a lot of college money went into that collection. I did say bad decisions.
You did. You
The
did.
American taxpayers listening to this are furious.
My parents, if you're listening, I absolutely just spent it on groceries and good wholesome times. That's it.
The magic is a thing of the past. Well, maybe until now.
Yeah, until now. I had locked it away and then on my own volition broke the seals and pulled them back out. My partner and I used to play quite a bit, and so I'm going through and I'm not doing a whole lot of playing. I am doing a whole lot of alphabetizing of that collection. Just to sort of like reintroduce to myself to what's all in there. But also I've done a little bit of deck building. Like there's some commander decks that I'm refreshing up. A couple of like standard decks that we just use to like, faff around to do some like 1v1 stuff. But yeah, I think in the coming weeks I'll probably dip more back into it. Again, I'm going to see if I can enjoy my 2,000 cards without spending more money on them. But that's going to be a losing proposition.
Yeah.
Quite therapeutic going through the whole collection and putting it all in order and reminiscing about all of the money you spent on them.
Yeah, just big fat tears as I look at all of that cardboard that's worth not very much. It is good. I mean, if you are the sort of person who would want to go through and alphabetize and catalog their collection, it's good podcast fuel, that's for sure.
Not to listen to, presumably. It's not a podcast while you quietly sort your cards, just the gentle shuffling of cards into sleeves.
736.
ASMR as you put another one in a sleeve.
No,
More
listen,
than 11. It's card 447.
37. God.
Oh, come on,
No,
Will.
because it works for any number, Lolies.
That's true. That's true.
I do feel like this is the main thing that is a barrier to Magic for me, is the fear of, if you want to keep up to date with it, at some point you just amass so many cards. And so it's a hobby kind of to the side of the hobby of actually playing. You have to have a secondary hobby of, curating and collecting and building decks, which, I guess people enjoy, that is a big part of Magic, but that's the thing I've always struggled with. What does your collection run up to, out of interest?
money-wise?
Or in terms of sets?
I think the last set that I really dipped into. So we have sort of a smattering of cards from like the last 3 or 4 years, because for Christmas we used to just shove 3 or 4 boosters into our stockings, and then whether we were playing or not, we just love the joy of cracking open one of those packs. And so we just have a smattering of cards from the last 3 or 4 years that way. The last set that I like seriously collected was, I believe, the last Return to Zendikar. Not this next one. This is like the 3rd time they've come back to that world, but the 2nd time they came back.
Okay, like 2012, I think? Something like that?
Maybe 13, yeah. Around there.
Oh, Lolies, what's going on?
I've just realized I was sent some Magic the Gathering cards recently, and I don't know what to do with them. So maybe you can help me, Chase.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the podcast.
No, this is what we're doing now.
Hold each one up to the camera.
But
Yeah. I thought I could show them, but I don't know where I put them.
Oh, well. Well, we can imagine what they might be like.
The packet is green.
She's paint a word picture, Lolies.
Green, and there I think it is Zendikar Rising. That's what made me think, because you said it, and I was like, oh, I think that's what I have.
Yeah, that's the last standard set they have right now.
If it's Zendikar Rising, do they have a big plastic statue of one of the characters in the middle of the table that you put cards around? That's the Rising series, right? There's a niche little joke for all my Rising board game series fans out there in the chat.
Dark Side Rising, your reference, or the Avengers one as well. But they didn't have that, the statue of Chandra, which was
the enormous one. The really, I can't remember how much it was.
Yeah.
It was like it was thousands of dollars. Basically.
I believe it was in British pounds. Too much money.
Well, that you could get that, I guess, and then play Magic around that if you wanted.
And that's
I'm so glad Wheels knows the exchange rate.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But Chase, so you mentioned Commander. Is that kind of like the format you're leaning forward at the moment?
Yeah, and as you were saying, that's sort of the answer. If you've never like dipped into Commander, it's the answer to the problem of like having old cards, and you're like, well, this is kind of useless because Standard is a very limited format, and Modern exists sort of to answer that question as well. But Commander was specifically started from a group of players, like a community who wanted to use old cards that were just sitting in boxes. Especially if you only had one or two of each one and not like a full playset, which standard decks you can use up to 4 of each card. So Commander is that. It's just 100 of your like favorite cards all thrown together into a loosely thematic deck, and then you play from there. And it's just a good way to celebrate those old cards that don't really have much use anymore. So yes, to answer your question, I am pulling out rares and legendary creatures and starting to like tinker around with some ideas on Commander decks.
I do like that idea of like, because I'm a idiot, so like deck building, the process of building a good deck, I think, is probably beyond me. But a thematic one, I could probably do. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's always the way I lean too. Is I don't want the whatever the meta is. I want a neat engine that does a kind of a cool trick and then rumbles and falls and loses, but up until that point, it was mighty interesting.
Yeah, they'll remember me though.
There was a cool thing I thought about Jumpstart, which came out a couple of months ago now. Is it lent into that thematic side where it's like you either pick a play style because the boosters are themed around them, or they're themed around dogs or pirates or whatever.
Oh, that's definitely my type. Yeah.
Yeah, you just slam 2 together and you've got a deck ready to roll. So
yeah,
very valid.
Yeah, I used to play Hearthstone, which is like one of my closest experiences to anything like Magic, apart from Keyforge, but obviously you don't make decks in Keyforge. And I wasn't very good at Hearthstone, mostly because my decks were almost entirely created around just being able to put cards that I like the art of in. So like Dr. Boom was great. We all love Dr. Boom, if you know who that is.
Of course.
And just anything that looked like a goblin or a dog or anything like that. And my friend was like, have you made these decks yourself? And I was like, oh yeah, I did. And they were like, do you know what you're doing? I was like, well, I'm just sort of going with my gut, I guess. With my heart.
I love that they had to ask whether or not you made them. It's just full of goblins that don't do anything.
Oh no, none of it synced together. I didn't know how to do that. I was just like, oh no, this is good stuff. Luckily enough, in that game, you can't really chat to the opponent, because otherwise I don't know what my opponents would have said.
They would have thanked you for the easy win.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh well. Hey, I provide a service. An experience.
Built this deck for entertainment purposes only. All right. Have you been playing anything else, Chase?
Yeah, I just recently started Rangers of Shadow Deep, which is a like a solo, or it can be collaborative, like miniatures RPG from Joseph A. McCullough, the guy who did Frostgrave and Archipelago, and I think a couple other games that I can't remember.
Was the guy behind Frostgrave the guy behind Archipelago? I did not know that.
Unless I am remembering or misspeaking, I believe it is.
Yeah,
very exciting.
Yeah, Ghost Archipelago.
Yeah, so it's definitely another game in that style where the main focus is on like telling a story around like miniature. So it isn't wargaming per se, and it isn't a tabletop RPG per se. It exists in this sort of like the liminal space between. So I'm playing it solo, and I have only just dipped into it. I'm playing the deluxe version, which has some like extra scenarios and stuff added in. But you create a ranger in this world where the Shadow Deep, 2 words, proper nouns there, have started to encroach on the last kingdom of people. And it exists in this sort of like dark, low fantasy, something like the first books in Lord of the Rings before you start getting a lot of wizards and Saruman BS and all that sort of stuff. But so your ranger has basically a couple of magic spells that you can tap into, but then beyond that, a bow or a sword, some rope, and just plain good luck. And you have to sort of survive. And the book specifically sets you up as like, this is a losing war. The only thing you are doing are buying humanity a couple of last days to maybe come up with a last-ditch solution. So obviously it has this very dark, very sort of like desperate sort of feel to it, and it's based on like a d20 system. You just use 2 d20s to do skill checks and stuff like that, and it has all the wargaming like measurement, like measure your moves, check line of sight, build terrain. I'm just using like paper cutouts and the deck holders for my magic cards at the moment. But it's a lot of fun. I'm in a small village that's overrun with zombies. I've got my dog Inkblot, and a which is the fantasy version of naming your dog Spot, as well as a man-at-arms sort of like as my 2 companions. That's one of the systems it puts in there to help with like solo plays. You can have these companions, and it's sort of like if you played like D&D or another RPG and you have like hirelings. It's very similar to that. And so you go through and you basically just like try your best to avoid combat, find treasure, find these clues to whatever mystery's going on. Combat can be very rough, I found out. So unless you are specifically building your ranger to be someone who like steps up and starts swiping that sword immediately, your best bet is to sneak around, pick your shots carefully, and really try to learn the terrain. So it's kind of a cool melding of like RPG stats with wargaming, like physical, the joy of moving small pieces of plastic around a physical space.
Nice.
Sweet.
And there's a dog in it, so
I put a dog in it, yes.
So I'm invested.
We bring Meehan on for the really nitty gritty sort of like,
Yeah.
Dog's good. Goblin's good.
I've got a list of things that I like. And I know dogs is one of them.
Dog's good, goblin's good, capitalism bad. That's it. End podcast. Goodbye.
All right, let's move on to Lolies. What have you been playing this week?
Hi.
You've come back to the CBBC Kids Hour with Lolies. The way you said that was like, "Hi kids, I'm really cool."
I can't believe you're shocked that somebody saw you as a kids presenter, Lolies. Like, I don't.
What is going? I haven't even said anything. Wow. Wow, the shade that's being thrown my way right now.
No shade. It's a fine profession.
As we all know in this hobby, shaders make look good water, so it's fine.
Huh. Now I'm actually considering a new career. Okay. Anyway,
Well.
you can blame Alex Meehan.
It's fine, I'm used to it.
Well, as we all know, Mr. Blobby was a children's entertainment program.
And he's
Think
your
about
hero.
Think
Oh
about it.
God.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you have to defeat
my
Blobby in
God.
one-on-one combat to take on
Yeah.
the title.
You do.
Oh, God, I'd love to see that.
I feel like he's very puncture prone.
I think we are kindred spirits. I would never do that to Mr. Blobby.
I mean, he'd probably do that to you, knowing Mr. Blobby.
Mm.
He does just attack indiscriminately.
It's a Cisco vibe. Eventually, it's going to eat you.
Anyway, do you
fine.
remember when this podcast was about board games?
No.
Well, I've been playing Qwinto, which is one of my.
Qwinto.
There we are.
Yeah, Wheels knows Qwinto.
Because you strapped me to an airplane chair and forced me to play it for 6 hours.
Excuse me, you loved it.
No, I do like Qwinto.
every minute of it.
Qwinto's very good.
Yeah,
Although I did wish you had brought more than one game.
yeah. Johnny sat there and he's like, "Go and play with your brother."
Well, Johnny,
Daddy needs to sleep.
Johnny would ask us where we were sat, and then go to the airplane staff and ask to be seated as far away from us as possible. It was really quite rude, but and then it was really funny because then Wheels and I would get drunk and we'd be like, "Psst," across the whole plane,
Yeah.
and Johnny would just turn away from his book and just face
As
down.
if he thought any amount of distance would save him. Like, it was a foolish effort. But yeah, Qwinto's really good. I like
Qwinto is my favorite roll and write. So much so that I've gotten through the like pad of paper that comes with the game, and I've had to go and print some more. And I just taught it to a friend, and they enjoyed it. So Qwinto, top of the list. Love Letter, I've been saying that for the last 100 podcasts. I've just been playing Love Letter non-stop, to be honest. I'm in my Love Letter phase at the moment, so that'll last for another while, I think.
More than 11 love letter.
Yeah. And this one will excite Wheels. I haven't been playing this, but I bought a game at the weekend that is long overdue to be added to my collection. A game that I really love, and I know I'm going to play a lot. It's Azul.
I love Azul.
I know.
Azul is fantastic.
I love Azul
it's
too.
still shrink wrapped as well.
I know. It's because I never really opened them until I'm ready to play, and I haven't been ready to play because I've been so busy playing Love Letter.
Yeah. One thing that I said in my video on Azul is even if you don't play it that much, it's so pretty. Just the box, just shove it on your shelf. It just looks so good.
I went to Eclectic Games in Reading at the weekend, and I was stood and I had 3 games in my hand, and I was like, which one do I buy? Because 2 of them I really like, and one of them I was like, maybe. I played it before. So the 3 options I had was Azul, which was about £40, Tiny Towns, which is the same price.
Oh, I like Tiny Towns.
Yeah, I've played it a couple of times, and I liked that it was 1 to 6 players, but I was like, I don't know if it'll get played as much as Azul, even with that. And the 3rd option was Halapagas, which is a game which plays 3 to 12 players, so it's really good in that way, like for big groups. It's a game where it's cooperative. All of you are working together to build a raft to get off a desert island, but eventually, not all of you can. You can't make enough rafts for all of you, and not all of you can get on the raft, so you have to choose people to leave behind and not come with you. It's really mean. It's a cooperative game where you turn
That
to each
sounds
other.
like a Lolies game.
Yeah, that sounds like a Lolies game.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I remember playing it and being like, oh, it's a cooperative game. And then it was came to that point where we had to shoot people and be like, yeah. And we all had to vote on who couldn't get on the raft. And it's really horrible, but it's just so my kind of game.
The listeners / watchers / readers of Dicebreaker must really fear for the dynamic that we have as a working team with your disdain for cooperative experiences.
To be honest, tabletop gaming is probably the best place for it, Lolies. Just get all those feelings out there. Yeah. So then you can not do that.
Yeah. What happens on the tabletops stays on the tabletop.
One of my favorite games is Gloomhaven, though, and that's a cooperative game. It's not all cooperative games. It's just that
it's still a bit competitive, though, isn't it? I bet you go around stealing everyone's loot, don't you?
I actually don't. I have a friend who plays as the scoundrel, and they go around picking up all the loot, and I play as the Inox, the brute. So I'm the one who charges ahead and kills everything and gets all the attacks and stuff. So I get really annoyed when she's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do some looting, and I'm like, I'm the one who killed all these, and I'm not getting anything.
I must protest, though. I remember very distinctly having a conversation with you and Mr. Whelan about how much you hated cooperative games. In fact, I think we've had this conversation more than once. So, yeah. But maybe you're discovering a new side to yourself.
No, I hate.
You didn't realize was there. Okay.
I enjoy them sometimes. It's not like I enjoy. I think when somebody says, "Oh, this is cooperative," my first instinct is to go.
Wow.
The listeners, sorry, we'll really enjoy that bit. Yeah.
It's just me dying.
Okay.
It's definitely not my favorite thing to do because I prefer for somebody to win. And I think my problem with cooperative games, and I've mentioned this in previous podcasts, is that is the table captaining side of things. And I've actually learned because I have been playing some Forbidden Island actually in recent weeks with a friend who, when we were playing competitively, he was such an ass that I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, let's play something cooperative because I can't play with you. You're so annoying. And I enjoyed that, but I actually learned that I was being the table captain in some of those games. Yeah, I know.
Oh no!
I've become what I loathe the most. But yeah, it's so Azul is good.
Azul is like really savage as well. It is.
It's very easy to be savage as well. Like, you can just be like, "Oh, you want that, do you?" Well,
Yep.
I could
That's
Time
me,
to
I
bring
do
some
that.
tiles, friend.
I 100% do that. I'm like, I'll take these tiles just because I know you want them.
I don't even want them, but I know you want them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's what's up with me this week.
Nice. All right. Wheels. What have you been playing?
I've only been playing one game, but it is a very good game, and it was previously spoken about by Lolies here. I've been playing Jaws of the Lion, which is the new sort of introductory box for Gloomhaven, which is my first Gloomhaven box. I've not played Gloomhaven apart from like a demo or two with the team. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm still in that sort of tutorial part where it's like we haven't really gotten everything out. You know, like I haven't played with the elements and stuff like that yet. But it's really nice, and I've learned that my partner is very good at putting down the stickers perfectly, which is very interesting. But yeah, it's really good. So I've been playing it with my partner. It was a gift from the company, which I'm sure Matt will have something to say about as well. But we,
As the company.
As representative of the company, Matt Jarvis.
So yeah, I'm afraid I am contractually obliged to tell you that I'm biased towards Dicebreaker as an organization. But yeah, no, it's been really good. I've been playing as the Red Guard, which is, I don't know what the name of them are in the official law, but they're basically like a tiefling kind of like, human-esque person with horns and a tail. But they have like a sort of like a sickle on a chain, so they can attack people from far away and then drag them forward.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty
So
good.
you can go get over here every time you play a card, which is very fun. And then my partner has been playing as Hatchet, or the Hatchet rather, which is an Inox but like ranged and looty, which is quite cool. So it's like a bit of a against type class kind of thing for them. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really fun. I've been doing a lot of funny voices. I've been reading out all of the stuff in a northern accent. It's been great.
Oh, it's so good. I've actually been playing the digital version of Gloomhaven at the weekend as well. It's Gloomhaven, I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get my teeth into Jaws of the Lion.
Oh,
There it is.
Yeah.
Pack up. We've done it.
Both Lolies and I also asked for a copy of Jaws of
Yeah.
the Lion too.
I was going to say, you two both have a box of your own, so their experiences on a later podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig into mine.
One thing I didn't realize was that
Oh goodness.
it's
There
another
it
bit
is.
that anyone listening will not see, but Lolies has picked up her copy of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Nice.
Mine's currently at my partner's house, so I can't find it. But yeah, one thing I didn't realize is Jaws of the Lion is actually the name of your party rather than I assume there would be some big boss called the Lion.
No. You play as a mercenary party in this one, instead of the Gloomhaven, where you're kind of heroes of a sort.
Yeah.
The box says a fully cooperative fantasy campaign adventure. All right.
So low, and then it says in brackets, so Lolies. You better cut it out.
I'm kind of intrigued because I really liked Gloomhaven, but the thing, and it might have been because I reviewed it, so I was playing it night after night, but the thing that started to really wear me down was the setup time, where it's you have to put aside half an hour to unpack all the stuff from the box, work out where it goes.
I have to say one of my absolute favorite things, and this is going to sound really dweeby, but when you open the box, there's a little sheet and it says, hey, this may be like the most components you've ever seen in a box. Take some time, organize them using these specific steps, and pack up and put out is going to be like super quick. And it is like, it's really quick. So you have like all your tokens are in a little tray that you literally just put in the box and take back out again. So like you don't need to like keep continuously like pick up all the tokens and sort them into bags and stuff. Every single monster is all organized into its own little bag with all the cards and the initiative token and all the standees and stuff. It's like genuinely, it's really cool. And then obviously your little box that you get in Gloomhaven to put your character stuff in.
I've just realized this doesn't have terrain, does it? It doesn't have
and it's also one of those book maps, which I love, where you get a ring bound book and you flip over the page and it's all there. And it tells you how to set it up. It tells you.
Yeah, see,
it's really good.
In Big Gloomhaven, you have got the terrain things that you have to lay out, and you have to lay out all the
Big Gloomhaven.
Yeah, that sounds really good because the gameplay of Gloomhaven was always great. It was just kind of the bit you wanted to skip past that became a bit of a fuss. So I'm
try the digital version also. It's so good. There's no setup, and the graphics are great. And
well, there is an installation.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has campaign yet.
I think
Well,
it's coming.
But it
got
has
a-
multiplayer now.
Oh,
I played
really?
it multiplayer with my friend at the weekend. Yeah, it was really good because we usually play Gloomhaven together, and we haven't been able to obviously for almost a year now. So it was really good being able to just play together again as separate characters.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Literally just that.
Nice. Alex, Meehan, what have you been playing?
Hi.
I don't know if you meant to channel the warriors, but
Wow.
yeah,
What have you been playing?
Oh yeah, I like to think I channel the warriors in my everyday life. Okay, so Matt will probably talk more about this, but we played Root again.
I don't want to talk about it this week. Last week, great.
It's because he didn't win. Oh no, boo boo. I mean, I didn't win either, so I don't know why I'm gloating. I'm not. I lost as well, but yeah, I played as the Vagabond. That was fun. I did better than I expected, considering it's not a faction that I've ever played before. And it was quite close towards the end. The person who won was playing as the cats, I believe. The Marquis is the cat.
I think.
Yeah, and you were the Woodland Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and well, I didn't gang up on you. I didn't attack you once. The others did. So.
Oh, Matt is so bitter because
He's really bitter. I don't know why.
Yeah, no.
It's fine.
It's fine, he says.
Well, I've never seen Matt do a little grumpy face. It's
Oh,
adorable. It's like a
Yeah.
6-year-old who's not actually mad but is pretending to be mad.
Yeah, so we did that, and that was fun. We're definitely getting better at Root. Like, it's coming to the point where every game is so close. Whoever's winning, sometimes there's parts where someone's clearly ahead or behind, but eventually towards the end, everyone's sort of catching up, and it could be anyone's game. So I think that shows that we're doing it well. I think it's just a really great game, and I've really fallen in love with it, to be honest. I want my own physical copy, maybe next year. And I've been playing Set a Watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the type of game I like.
I know. It's on the very small list of cooperative games you like.
That's it. That's all two of them.
Yeah, Gloomhaven and Set a Watch. I played it on TTS with my friend. There's a pretty good version on there that's not scripted, but it's mostly set up for you. And there's at least a rule book there, which a lot of mods don't have. That baffles me. So we got to the last location in the game. So it's a cooperative game where you roll dice and attack monsters. And any monsters you can't take out during a round go into what's called the Horde, which you have to face at the end of the game. And I was playing with someone who hadn't played before, so it took a little bit of time to explain the rules and everything. And I'm pretty sure we got quite a few things wrong. At one point, I was like, I don't care. Let's just keep going. Because to be honest, even with those slight advantages, we still lost at the last location. Because a summon turned up in our we drew a summon. And also we kept having grave shifters, which are awful because they swap out with whatever's on the top of the graveyard deck, which always happened to be either a fell beast or an ember dragon, like something enormous. And my friend took the cleric, and no offense to the cleric.
Listen, no disrespect to the cleric, but I mean, maybe
sucks.
do your day job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he eventually just became a lumberjack. All he just did was pretty much just go to the camp and chop wood. Like,
did you play 2-player?
Yeah, but with 4 characters.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say because you should have had 2 characters each.
No, we did have 2 characters
Okay,
each.
cool.
Just one of
'Cause
them
that would've
happened to be
been
the cleric. No, that would have been awful. No.
Well, the even worse part about Set a Watch, when you've got like one of the characters you don't like very much, everyone has to do an equal amount of like lumberjack duties.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh god, he's got to come, has he?
Yeah, and his rolls are really bad as well. I don't know why. Like, if he's cursed, but it was really good fun. And to be honest, I've still not won that game, but I'm not really that fussed by it because it's one of those board games that I just go into expecting to lose. So I'm fine with this because, like, it's more about the journey rather than the winning. You know,
That's the first game I ever played with Wheels and Johnny.
It is. It really is. In a pub. Remember pubs?
Oh.
I was just going to say, I tend to find with co-op games, like, I get really kind of bored of them if I win them the first time I play. I have to get beaten by it, like, at least a couple of times before I'm, like, comfortable winning it. Do you know what I mean?
You want to feel like it's enough of a challenge without just getting stomped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, like, I think it's better with cooperative games because, like, you've not lost against a person.
Yeah.
You've just lost against the game. So, and a game can't gloat at you. So,
yeah, Matt.
You didn't win this week.
No, but
I should have your sympathy, not your mockery.
Last week,
it's your medicine now.
No, last week you were sat on your throne, glaring down at me, and chuckling to yourself. Set watch is great, and you know it worked fine on 2TS. It's not the same experience. I really like the way that Set Watch is boxed. It's just really neat and nice, and the art's really great. I'd be interested to play with the expansion that came out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in people's hands yet or not, but
I don't think it is.
No, I think me and Johnny are both quite keen to give it a go, actually. So you might see me, Johnny, and Lolies giving that a playthrough on the channel at some point, which would be very exciting. If you haven't seen our initial Let's Play of Set Watch, it's actually one of my favorite videos I've put together for the channel. It's very, very funny. Because me and Johnny just slowly lose our minds.
It's that game that grinds you down. Like the first few rounds, you're like, "Oh no, this isn't too bad. We're doing well," and then like slowly it just gets worse and worse. And like
it's a bit where I physically walk off camera. It's like, oh my god.
No. By the end, by the last final location, we had 10 creatures spawned in that location alone, with the horde on top of it. And my friend was like, "Is that it?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "We're never gonna do this." So yeah, it was really good. So that's what I've been playing.
All right. As Meehan mentioned, I played Root. I did not win. I played as the Alliance. I've not really played as the Alliance very much at all, and I enjoyed them. But I think, particularly in that group, they've got kind of a reputation for being the surprise winners. So, and I made the mistake of building my bases kind of to split the map between the Marquis de Cat and the Airy, which was probably not a smart choice. But I came very close. I messed up in the last turn because I forgot that your pool of warriors and officers is the same pool. So I made loads of officers thinking, oh great, I'll get loads of turns to spread sympathy and win, and then didn't have any warriors.
Yeah.
And
in this case, Matt wasn't channeling the warriors.
But it was really close again. It was everyone was within a turn, and I think that is. It's the upside and the downside of Root is when you have a group that's all kind of at the same level, it's kind of perfection because everyone balances everyone out. But as soon as someone isn't as experienced with the game, or is playing a faction that they don't know quite as well, or just has a kind of rough time getting off the starting mark, it can throw things off in a little bit of a way that allows someone else kind of a window to open it up. But yes, and I'm especially excited about Root because I was very kindly bought a copy of the Riverfolk expansion. And Lizard Cultists, which I'm especially excited about. And I think it has the mechanical marquee to play single player or to play co-op. So yeah, I am very excited to dig into that with the physical copy once I can get 4 people around a table again. Speaking of losing games, I also played Wingspan. I was kindly invited onto the 3 Moves Ahead podcast, which will be out, I think, this week as well. To chat about Wingspan, which continues to be fantastic, But I played to kind of refresh my memory, and I got beaten 3 times in a row by the AI. And every time I was scoring more, and I was like, "Oh, I've done it this time! Like, I've got so many birds, I'm laying so many eggs, I'm full of."
I imagine Elvis, I'm laying so many eggs.
Yeah, I was like, "There's no way they've got me." And every time they scored higher than me by about 1 or 2 points, but 10 points more than they scored the previous time. So I feel like I'm hoping it was kind of dynamically adjusting to beat me. Either that
Yeah.
or just a bit rubbish. But yeah, Wingspan is still fantastic. The digital version I was playing, so
Yeah. You get all those hot bird facts.
I were on a podcast as well, talking about video production in tabletop, which was on 1,000 Eyes, but it's eyes spelled as if you were a Scottish man saying yes, because it's run by a Scottish man. But yeah, it was very, very lovely and very good. So there you go. I forgot to mention it, but there it is now.
Right, let's move on to news.
Whoa!
Coming hot out of the gate, a little exclusive for you.
Exclusive.
As we say in the biz.
Yeah, we do say that in the biz.
Yeah, there's
Chase, I'm a member of the biz. Could you please confirm or deny that?
Oh,
Oh,
Chase?
Oh,
Chase.
hello.
Hello.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay, don't worry.
No, as I was trying to say, yes, I can. You can say exclusive. Stateside, we say scoops. You can also,
Yeah.
Hot scoops.
Yeah.
hot scoops.
Yeah, we love a bit of scoop. We're
Yeah.
ice cream aficionados around here.
I measure
Are they
my
hot?
scoops in buckets. So yeah, there is a War of the Ring card game coming. So we managed to dig up some first kind of gameplay info on it from Ares Games, which is the publisher of War of the Ring. If you've not played War of the Ring, it's basically all of the Lord of the Rings in a game. It is the most Lord of the Rings game going because it covers the entire trilogy. One player, you can play with up to 4 players, but typically it's best with 2. One player plays the Free Alliance or the Free Peoples and the Fellowship, and the other player plays the Shadow, so Saruman and Sauron, along with their respective forces. And it is, like I say, it is the War of the Ring from the books. So one person is trying to get the Fellowship to Mount Doom and destroy the ring, or win by wiping out Sauron and Saruman, and the Sauron player is just trying to take over Middle-earth. It plays very long, it's quite complex, but it's really immersive. It does a fantastic job of capturing the books. But they are making a card game of it that they have said will kind of follow the same general premise, and that it will be the entire trilogy of books. But it will be shorter, it will be easier, and it's designed with more of a multiplayer feel. Because although the board game plays up to 4, like I say, it typically is best with 2. But this apparently will be very deliberately designed for up to 4 people, potentially more. So they're aiming for a release next year. And it's actually designed by Ian Brody, who designed Quartermaster General. It started out life as a Quartermaster General game.
I really like Quartermaster General.
That was Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
But they realized that was a little bit close to War of the Ring because Quartermaster General was a card-driven board game.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, they've made it a fully kind of card game rather than just a card-driven board game. But it sounds really promising. I mean, there are a lot of Lord of the Rings games out there. This is, another one of those. But I think War of the Ring still stands up as probably the best Lord of the Rings game going. So I'm quite excited to see this because any chance to play more of War of the Ring without having to set aside like 7 hours would be a good thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Matt, I think you're the only one who's played it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I don't have any opinions on War of the Ring.
we should play it sometime when we have 7 hours to spare.
Oh yeah, that sounds easy.
It is incredible, particularly if you love Lord of the Rings, because it is really faithful to those books. You have event cards, and they've put out expansions that add the Eagles and add the Army of the Dead and so on.
Does it have Tom Bombadil in it or not?
I believe it does. It's based on the books rather than the films, and it is very expansive. particularly with the expansions. I don't think there's kind of a corner of that story or that world that they don't touch in some way. So I believe Tom Bombadil would be in there to offer a very serious answer to your not particularly serious question.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Fatty's in there. Fatty being the star of the Reiner Knizia's The Lord of the Rings co-op game.
That is my favourite joke to tell people whenever we play that game. It's like, you can play all of the hobbits from the film, including, and then just end with Fatty.
Nobody remembers Fatty.
What? Yeah, I'm sure their mission from the films was not something that was much people cried over.
The next story we have, Chase. You wrote a story about the new game, or games even, from John Harper of Blades in the Dark fame.
Yeah, John Never Miss Harper, as I like to call him, because man, I just enjoy pretty much everything he's done.
It's very good.
Yeah, so he has released. It's a system. There's the Paragon System, which is based off of the rules from Agon. Basically stripped down and streamlined for as much hackability as possible. He specifically said in the piece, whenever I talked to him, that he wanted to make sure that folks could use these rules for any sort of setting. They weren't just trapped to, say, like ancient Greece or Norse mythology or whatever sort of like pantheon they wanted to tack on. So the things that have survived into the Paragon system are things like, there is a pantheon-esque kind of thing. There are in Agon, you have the different like Greek gods that you can call upon for aid by invoking your connections to them. But in other games, you could have something, say, like they could just be regular people. They could be different organizations. Like in his game, I believe they are like weird artifacts. The actual like Agon system, the pathos that eventually gives you Agon, that leaves like a major mark on your character, also exists, just with different names. So if you've played Agon, if you've seen that character sheet, it will look very familiar just with all the filing numbers scraped off. And he's specifically hoping that like folks really take it to some weird places. And as a sort of a proof of concept, he's released Chamber, which is essentially the Paragon system with set in a like 60s Cold War sci-fi-esque world where you play as agents of Chamber, a government organization, a covert organization trying to hunt down and secure these relics that are causing oddities, a la the video game Control or X-Files or anything like that. And you'll be fighting off Russian operatives who are trying to do the same. So in Chamber, the gods, the things that you have connections to, are these relics that you can then capture and then attune to, so that you get some weird new abilities. But yeah, it looks really cool. I want to play it because it looks like it's going to play like Agon, just with suit and ties and Agent Mulder, Scully shenanigans going on, which promises to be a good time, I think.
Yeah,
this is kind of precedent as well, because this is obviously the similar system that you had for Forge in the Dark, which is the system Blaze in the Dark is run on, and it's all kind of open source, really. Like it's obviously you have to accredit the original system and the designer and stuff, but you can make your own games and sell them under the Forge in the Dark license. And although I think they ask you to be upfront about the fact that you're using Forge in the Dark, it's not necessarily like legally prohibited to not say that and stuff. So like he's had quite an open door policy on people just sort of using the system he's put out to make cool things, which I think is a really nice way of developing a good community around tabletop design, to be honest, of just being like, hey, like I had this idea and I put it to this system, but maybe you've got a better idea for it or that. So it seems to be like a sort of running philosophy through his games, which is quite cool.
I think Agon as well is maybe one of my favorite systems of the last few years. It's just it's much like Blazing That. It's really slick, but it has just this fantastic idea of you stepping forward to basically offer yourself up to a challenge. And I think it works really nicely with the kind of Greek heroic theme, where it's like, I will take on this task. And you present yourself like that. But I'm excited to see it come to other kind of settings and themes, because I think it's such a lovely way of handling kind of test resolution in an RPG.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read through the rules yet, but I imagine that there's actually kind of a similar vibe to the challenges where, like, because in Aegon you literally sort of like present yourself before you do it. Like, I am Aristides the Lion-Hearted, scion of blah blah blah, and I'm going to do this. Whereas, like, if you are a government official, you can be like, hello, ma'am, I'm Agent XYZ, and I'm from the Institute of XYZ, and I'm here to do this. You know, so it's sort of a similar vibe, actually.
That's, from my peek through, that's actually how it kind of works. It's a much more sort of like matter-of-fact Men in Black sort of tone. You drop your badge and say, like, I'm Agent Taggart with the so-and-so agency, and we have something on your property, and we need to take a look, ma'am. And that's how you know, use your skills and start rolling dice, by rolling up on a place and whipping out your badge, which is quite neat.
I like it. It's very cool. And also co-designed by Sean Nittner, we should point out as well.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Because I think he gets sidelined a lot when people talk about it, because John Harper is a very, very big name, but he was the co-designer on Aegon, and therefore the Paragon, I think.
Yeah, I've not played Aegon. I played Blaze in the Dark. I like Blaze in the Dark. I like X-Files.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. As a certified bisexual, having X-Files mixed with Blaze in the Dark. Yeah, I don't see the problem with this, certainly.
Certified? I haven't got a certificate in the post yet. God damn it.
You got to be on that stuff, mate. Come on. Chop.
All right. In more, well, kind of RPG adjacent news, Chase, you also wrote this one about a spin-off of Kids on Brooms.
Yeah, it's called Duel of the Wands. It is a game set in the Kids on Brooms universe, I guess, which is, I think this is the first time they've built out that universe. But Kids on Brooms is itself I don't know if we use the term hack here, but like it is built on Kids on Bikes, but set in a magical school for children. Which is it's a magical school for children, which is the first time anyone's done that of note.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just a totally new concept. But so Duel of the Wands is a way for players to it is a like competitive card game, so that you build a sort of like dueling, a magic duel where you're just like flinging spells at each other in a very structured environment, so no kids get hurt. But you can play it separately, just on its own, as like a sort of like competitive one-on-one game, or you can build it into your running Kids on Brooms RPG as a way to, say, characterize a conflict, or come to some sort of agreement to play out these sort of things that might pop up in the RPG. Yeah, and I can't remember. I'm reading through the story. The details on it are, as of yet, a little vague. It's going to be coming out early next year, but I think you can pretty much surmise what it's going to be when you think about duels with wands in a RPG like Kids on Brooms.
It's kind of interesting. I think, like, off the back of Queens, based on Quest, which I think is like maybe less of a big name. I mean, not that Kids on Bikes is huge, but I think it's found its kind of mark. But to see RPGs spinning out into these games rather than just, like a well-known TV license or film license, it's interesting to see people poke out at these settings. And I would presume the aim is to get more people playing the RPG and kind of invested in that world. Because there's the Kids on Bikes board game, the Snallygaster situation.
Yes.
Isn't there one? So they seem to be going kind of all in on this. Well, if we can't get them in on the RPG, we'll get them in on the board game or the card game.
Kind of the Games Workshop process, isn't it? Of the sort of like, we're going to have a lot of like adjacent products that will just sort of funnel you into the main thing that we want you to sort of look into. Kind of. But I really love the idea that that the system isn't just sort of like, using the same name and is kind of separate, but it's also like something that you can sort of factor into the game itself, which I think is a really neat idea.
Yeah, I really like that. I'm a big proponent of using other systems to sort of temper your own RPG experience. If you're playing a longer campaign, I think so you don't try to like shoehorn the system into maybe a scenario where it wasn't exactly built for. If you're playing a crunchy system and you get into a real roleplay situation, I feel like more people should be comfortable dipping into other smaller systems that maybe lend themselves better to that sort of roleplay experience. I think it makes the whole thing just a lot more rich and enjoyable.
For sure. One more from you, Chase. On a very different kind of note. Tell us about Good Puppers.
Oh, Good Puppers. So Good Puppers is a card building game. It's very wholesome, has a lot of beautiful art of great dogs.
What?
Yeah. This me and
I'm
this is
listening.
for you.
Good Puppers, man.
It had an ongoing Kickstarter which ended pretty recently, and they were in the like production phase and getting it shipped out when the ship filled with 1,900 shipping containers ran into a storm in the Pacific Ocean and was heavily damaged by that storm. According to a story from a paper called The Lodestar, they lost anywhere between 15% to 25% of the 1,900 containers on this vessel, which is just a bananas amount of these gigantic metal vessels, shipping containers that just fell into the ocean or were otherwise damaged or destroyed in this storm. And
those fish are going to be playing so much Good Puppers.
Yeah, you can just imagine like in the movie version of this story, like just a shot beneath the ocean with like the light rays over the top of the water and the Good Puppers cards just slowly drifting down to the bottom of the sea.
Tragic.
The publisher Asmodee has said that, not Asmodee, Asmodee, ASMADI, has said that like they're not quite sure how much, if any, of their product has been damaged. The ship is still, I believe, it's going to take 2 weeks to reroute to Japan so they could actually check through everything. So it's going to be a little bit longer before this poor person even knows how much of their stock they lost. Which is a shame, especially, and I mean, not just for them, but for anybody else. But just imagining a bunch of board games that are already on a weird schedule because of COVID for like production and shipping, and then to have this happen in the middle of it is tragic.
It must be agonizing to just have to wait as well for so long just to figure out whether or not you need to do an entire print run again.
Maritime insurance is a thing, though. So
yeah, they seem to take it with quite good humor, which I mean, fair play to them, because it's devastating whichever way you want to cut it. You know, no matter kind of how much you lose personally, it's just a terrible thing to happen. But they were kind of, you know, I think they kind of took it in good grace, this essentially act of God. Which, you know, what can you do about it at some point? But
the idea of God pointing down at the shipping containers going, no!
These dogs? Absolutely not.
Were not good enough. It does remind me of the sketch with the front fell off a lot, which I think is a good way of pushing it, rather than just being like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god for your press release.
I think it's one of those things as well, because they communicated it through the Kickstarter campaign, and I think Kickstarter's been one of those lovely things where people have a much better idea of exactly what goes into making a game and getting to people. And you know, when things are delayed or things are pushed back, it can be due to production stuff, or it can just be to something like this. When you're dealing with physical games, there's no way around it really. It's slow, and then to have something like this happen is just it's gutting for everyone involved. But I think luckily no one was harmed.
Yeah, according to the story, I don't think anybody on board was harmed. And I trawled through the comments on the Kickstarter, and I think I saw nothing but sympathy and some good humor reacting to the post. So yeah, as you said, Matt, I think that transparency allows people to maybe not get as angry whenever there are delays or any irritation, stuff like that.
Well, if any of those shipping containers did sink to the bottom, one crab has definitely been squashed.
I hadn't thought about that.
Exactly, a single crab.
There is, although, you know, sea pollution not good.
No,
no one
obviously
can do
not.
anything about this. There is something amusing in the idea that over the next coming weeks, months, years, people might just be wandering along a beach and find just a picture of a happy-looking puppy, like receiving a message in a bottle, but it's just
we must go and save this puppy. Good luck to him.
Yeah,
it sucks.
During a hard year to have something like this just on top of it, and when publishers operate on kind of small margins anyway, which is why Kickstarter is so big.
I very much hope they have insurance, but it seems like they were taking it well enough to be the case.
So hopefully it works out as best it can do in the situation. One more from you, Chase. Absolutely knocking them out this week.
Busy.
This smart wargaming table.
Yeah. This is just.
Oh.
I didn't get into it so much in the story, but I can editorialize here. I don't think this is a good idea, but not for the the main reason. So this is a table from a company called Valkyrie Gaming. It's a UK company. I'm sorry, I am too ignorant to know anything more specific than that. Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, Valkyrie Gaming. They have put up this intelligent gaming table, which like takes the crunchiness out of wargaming. So like all the stats in like the war scrolls you would have in Warhammer or anything like that, and you can enter them in. So basically all of your mental focus is on the actual sort of like thematic battle going on, the moving and positioning of your miniatures and all that sort of stuff. And then they use like lights, like a digital like layer underneath the surface of the table in order to convey information such as spell effects, ranges, hidden figures. And whenever two armies meet together, and it's a hexagonal table that's in a hex sort of pattern. And so you move along hexes, and whenever two enemies meet, there will be these green and red lights that flash that indicate battle, and then the loser is like flashed red, and it's everything up to like a trapdoor opening beneath them, and as they sort of like Wilhelm scream down into the darkness.
Yeah, you permanently lose your miniatures. They get sent down to the furnace to be melted.
Hit the incinerator. But it's a really, really neat idea, and I think I saw a few people talking about on Twitter that really connected with the idea of, if you are a wargaming player who doesn't like the maths part of it, then this might be a really cool solution. Unfortunately, it is not a commercial product. This is not something you can buy. It is something that they are like sort of, they're raising funds. They're looking for investors and stuff like that to open a gaming center, a physical gaming center where you can come and rent out these tables to play. They can be like pushed together to create surfaces up to, I think they said 500 square feet, which is just an absolutely bananas size. I don't know what. Have any of you seen a wargaming on that scale that would need to access 500 square feet?
I believe that's a standard game of Warhammer 40k.
But so you can do this, and they're really hoping to like sort of propagate these centers all around the UK and then also in the US. I saw them making calls for it. But it is a table that you cannot buy for your home, but you have to go into a physical brick and mortar location and play with other people, which I'm sorry, I have to say you should not do right now. And they're hoping to open up in like March of next year, which is optimistic to say the least. I think I would put it lightly. That is very optimistic. But in the future, an undetermined amount of time later, when it is safe to go outside, this seems like a neat idea if you want to wargame but hate that method, or you don't have a table large enough to play on. This could be a cool thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the pictures of it as well. I mean, I presume these are prototypes.
Yeah, and you see the white surfaces. The digital layer can play or it can like paste some sort of like ground terrain. So like you can make it like a snowy scape or muddy or something like that. But yeah,
I mean, one thing that jumps out to me immediately is it seems to be very hex based, which no miniatures game is, right? I don't know.
I guess it's a way of taking the rulers out. It's because if you had it gridded, it would be too, like square gridded, it would be too limited in terms of movement, but rulers is a bit too free form, and then you get into kind of the nitty gritty. So I guess that's maybe the best kind of middle ground, but I'm kind of with you. It's like in concept, all of these digital tables sound appealing, like to take the thing, but as soon as you see them in action, it's like, well,
yeah,
for the money and for the amount they actually do, like at some point, just make us a better set of rules.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's just like, you know, it's more to the fault of the game if there's so much maths that it physically pushes people away, you know, and also just the fact that these are physically tied to locations means that it's a lot less accessible for the audience to grow. I don't know if this is like, is the point that this is usable in any system, or are they like using a system of their own to work with this?
They have developed their own system. It's called Days of the Valkyries. It's a dark fantasy sort of system. It's hex based, and they're selling their own line of miniatures to go along with it. One of the things they advertise is that if you play their game, they're going to have like seasons or something, and so there's like a reader at the bottom of the figure that will track like season stats, and these miniatures will grow in power and gain abilities as you win or lose battles, which is a neat thing, but that again, that is not something that they're offering for all systems, just their proprietary systems.
Which then also raises the point of like, if you want to get into Days of the Valkyries because you heard it's good, it's like, cool, do you have one of these places near you? Because otherwise, why would you, you know? Yeah, sorry, man, I didn't mean to talk over there.
I mean, as someone who's not very knowledgeable in the miniatures department, I imagine a lot of people who already play some of the more complicated options like Warhammer 40k, etc. I imagine a lot of the time they play those because they're complicated and they've already got their head around it. Whereas there are options out there that are a bit more lighter on the maths, that are there for the people who don't like that sort of thing. So it kind of feels like if you're only supporting the big system as well as your own one, which is entirely new, doesn't have a fan base yet, kind of feel like the whole purpose of that is a bit moot. Yeah. I mean, like, sure, if it produces like sound effects and it has a soundtrack, it does.
It makes sounds. Yeah, there are built-in speakers.
Oh no!
Never mind. Forget everything Ian said.
Forget what I said. No. That's quite cool. I think I just like that sort of thing because it reminds me of my youth, when there'd be games that would do that, and it was really corny and fun. But now I imagine they wouldn't be fun to play anymore because they probably sound like.
We buy new batteries.
Yeah. Are we referencing like Arabian Derby here? Is that what you mean when you say?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, never do.
Yeah.
/ camel racing game that was in like. Never mind. Okay, never mind.
Like Dark Tower, I guess.
Yeah, like Dark Tower.
Thief, those kind of.
I was thinking, wasn't there one which was like a video and you were a babysitter and there was a video that you had to put on?
You're thinking of, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's
not
like...
Dream Phone, it's something else.
Something else.
I know what you're talking about and it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life until I remember what it is. Or like Atmosphere that I have a copy of. You know, the haunted copy of Atmosphere I've got.
We're getting slightly off topic.
Yeah. But
Lolies is looking this game up now.
It's kind of, in a way, you can see why these digital tables, there's a lot of them coming about now, because in a perfect sense, you could, if two people had one of these, if they were a commercial product, you could play, you know, remote long distance games, because it would just reflect almost like the chess sets where it lights up and you can play against someone with the same chess set. Like that's a really nice kind of use case, but I think there can't be that many people after that or willing to stump up that amount of cash.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much that sort of thing would cost.
Yeah, to like learn a new, it might not have rules, or it might try and streamline the rules, but you've also got to then learn a new like tablet interface or what, you know, it's just a different kind of hurdle. So it's...
Sorry, I've finished that. I don't know why my brain is not working today. Yeah, so the only one of these that's kind of intrigued me are the AR ones, where it's like you have like a sort of augmented reality system that can sort of determine what model is in front of it, and then just like show you the stats by just, you know, holding a camera over stuff. So you can just sort of point at two things and say battle, and you know that seems like a much more user friendly. Much more like available to people because you can basically install it onto a smartphone. Like the idea that you tie this stuff to physical products, especially if you know you need to use a brand new system to effectively play it, and that brand new system can only be played with this thing which isn't available for you to get at home. It seems like a you know, setting a ship to launch that's already got 40 holes in it. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just my tea.
This definitely falls into a soapbox of mine, which is technology that solves a problem that doesn't exist, and so has to create a problem, convince you that this is a problem that their product will solve, which is annoying.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's kind of early days with this stuff, and it might be that 5-10 years down the line, there is actually a version of this that is accessible, does make sense for games that people already play, and actually does benefit them. But I think right now we're kind of in that stage where you look at it and kind of go, why?
Yeah.
Why does this exist? Who does this exist for? Other than investors, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's interesting to see people doing new stuff either way, hopefully it pans out. As a last little one, PAX Unplugged has been dated to return next December. We will put a disclaimer here that Dicebreaker is owned by the company that runs the PAX events, ReadPop. So PAX Unplugged was cancelled this year. There was no digital replacement, unlike Gen Con and Essen Spiel, UK Games Expo. There was PAX Online Cross EGX Digital, which we were a part of, but PAX Unplugged itself just completely skipped this year because of COVID and the health and safety concerns related to that. But it's been dated to return next December, from December 10th till the 12th. So yes, and that's the physical event, which the PAX folks kind of say, so they say, let's just say the quiet part out loud. If COVID-19 remains a major barrier to safely gathering at one of our shows, we won't do it, or we will take it virtual. So
that's in 369 days.
Ayo!
As of the time of that this was filmed, I should say. So,
yeah, I think by the time this goes live, it will be almost exactly a year. So who knows what the world will look like in a year?
It might be an ash-covered husk by then. But hey,
well, keep it light and breezy. Whoa.
Yeah, don't expect any opinions on that either, because as you say, we're owned by PAX, so
yeah, it's more of an FYI that it's coming back. So yeah, there we go. PAX East and PAX West are also due to return next year. PAX East took place this year, I think, just before everything went into lockdown. PAX West was cancelled.
Isn't one of them scheduled for June?
It should be West, I think.
Yeah, so PAX East will be held June 3rd to 6th. PAX West will be from September 3rd to 6th. So I think they've been pushed back a number of months already from their usual slots in the calendar, and PAX South will not take place.
But sorry, Texas, maybe 2022.
As we said from that snippet in the article, it's aspirational, right? I don't think. Yeah. I don't think it's being put there to say, "Hey, we're definitely going to open no matter what happens." It's more just like you're planning.
Yeah. We're hoping, yeah.
Yeah, they use the phrase optimistic. It's an optimistic plan. So yeah, it's not set in stone, because what is right now?
I really want it to be the truth. I want to be able to go to conventions again.
The bagels again, don't we, Lolies?
I want the bagels. I want all the good stuff. I want the good breakfast. That place.
Well, let's continue the snack discussion as we move into emails. If you've got an email for us, you can reach us at podcast@dicebreaker.com. You can find us on Twitter @joindicebreaker. You can head to dicebreaker.com or just find us around the internet. We're about.
Yes, do it, you idiot.
Wow, that's the inclusive, friendly, welcoming feel that everyone comes to Dicebreaker for.
Wow.
No, you're all great.
You reprobate.
Lolies, would you like to read this one from Wei-Han, please?
I'd love to. Wei-Han says, Dear Dicebreaker team, if you had to design an ice cream flavor or other snack inspired by a tabletop game that isn't necessarily just an edible version of an edible looking board game component, what would you come up with? It's always a joy to listen to the podcast every weekend while I do my meal prep for the upcoming week. Keep up the great work.
Hey.
Best, Wei-Han.
A little minor note before we move on. Wei-Han has provided their pronouns, which I'm a big
do it.
So thank you very much for that.
Do it, you idiot.
Please do it. Please do that if you do send anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's worth shouting out Lolies, your Dicebreaker series here, available on youtube.com/Dicebreaker. Fits straight into this category because you do, in fact, make foods inspired by tabletop games.
Yes, there have been, I think, 7 episodes maybe, and I made the dice tower from Wingspan out of gingerbread.
That was tasty.
Oh yeah,
it was tasty, but it wasn't very well built. I made Scrabble tiles, which were very, very good, weren't they? I've actually been meaning to make them since. Super easy to make, but they were like they were essentially cheese crackers, really small cheese crackers. I've made Jenga out of shortbread.
That was a disaster.
Yummy though. Yummy. It was funny. I've made the Azul. I've made Azul tiles.
Oh, they were good.
Ice biscuits, essentially. What else? I did other things.
What about ice cream lollies?
Ticket to Ride. I made Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, the little
Trains.
trains. I would say little, they were massive.
They were massive, yeah. Ice cream. If you had to design an ice cream flavor inspired by a tabletop game, a cardboard flavor. I don't know.
It's just pulp. 2 scoops of pulp, please.
Oh, I guess you could be like. I mean, are we talking about like if you looked at Azul, right? Like the colors are quite cool, so maybe you could do like what ice cream flavor would this like lovely turquoise be?
Peppermint.
So
yeah, like a mint flavor.
this was actually my answer. I was going to say was going to be Azul, and I've been thinking about this since you read the question, and I think it would be a vanilla base with candied persimmon and blood oranges, and some mint chocolate chunks. Yeah, and then mint chocolate chunks for the other tiles that the like the teal and black.
The orange one, my first thought was like like a red.
See, we got a professional here.
Yeah.
Chase just gets on with it.
What I would quite like is has anyone had mochi ice cream? Where it's like a bowl of ice cream wrapped in mochi. I think that's a good delivery system for eating ice cream whilst playing board games because it stops it from melting all over the table. You don't have to like precariously have a spoon over any components or anything. You bite into it and it's good to go. So maybe that's my answer. I just want it all to be in mochi form.
For Love Letter, I'm just picking up games that are around.
Rails.
It's like your improv set.
I would go for like. Could you? Is there such a thing as making ice? You know, a Black Forest Gâteau.
Yeah.
Making ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So forest fruits.
Yeah. With dark chocolate.
Yeah.
No.
It's almost like a Magnum flavor, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, but it isn't though, is it? It's
Or how about a Jaws of the Lion bar flavor?
Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
Whoa!
That's good. I love lion bars.
Oh, I haven't had one of those in years.
Yeah, me neither, but they're great, aren't they?
Sponsored by Lion Bar.
I think I'd love to see board game cocktails. I think there are a few that have been created here or there by board game cafes.
I did some for Dicebreaker.
Leaning right into the camera.
Here comes the plug.
I did some for Dicebreaker one time. I did some for Quedlinburg cocktail.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, but what if it's a good game?
Matt had his dad voice on there. It's like, oh yeah, you did.
Yeah,
do
well
that.
done.
He had it on the fridge for about a week and then he threw it away.
I would never do that, Lolies. I would never do that. I'll carry everything we put out.
I can't stop thinking about. Have you ever been to a corner shop and you've seen those sweets? I think they're sweets. I've never actually eaten one that are like camel's balls. Have you seen?
What the hell are you talking about?
I swear to God, they exist.
Do you mean the peaches?
No, I mean like you can go to a corner shop. You know the kind of corner shop I'm talking about, where they have
I don't.
No.
Camel balls.
They have like 4 different types of flavors of Starburst and like Chewit and like white like Kinder Buenos. Like the kind of place that you find those sweets that you wouldn't really find in a supermarket.
Is that what you mean?
Sort of. I've not seen them in Easy Hours, I think, but I've never eaten them. But I've always, obviously not failed to notice they're there because they're marketed to kids. But they're like camel balls. I think they're meant to be gross or something. But now I'm thinking of those, but camel up.
Can you please, first of all, take a picture? Secondly,
I will find these.
Buy some and take a video of you tasting them, please.
I want to eat them because they look really gross.
Ian eats camel balls live on Dicebreaker.
I think they've got like goo, like sweet goo in them or something.
No.
I would love if this was just a really normal tweet that you've completely misinterpreted.
No. I've literally found a picture of them now.
There might-
Camel. Oh, right.
Camel.
I feel like there's going to be a significant marketing challenge with something called camel up balls.
Yeah, well, maybe it'd be like strawberry flavored with like.
I'm now looking up
vanilla.
camel.
I've just put them in Slack.
Matt, would you like me to read the next question?
Anyway,
Oh my god, hold on. They're called camel balls.
Yeah,
I'm looking at them now.
Don't know what else to call them, really. Yeah.
I didn't make it up.
why?
I thought you were describing them to look like camel balls.
No.
They actually were camel balls.
Oh, I'm googling.
They look like disgusting meatballs with strawberry jam inside. They
Chase, what do you
What
think
are
about?
It's got a picture of a camel's.
Yeah, Chase, what do you think about this as a kind of representation of the
These
UK's
aren't-
corner shops?
aren't British.
I mean, yeah. Listen, here in the west of the U.S., we have something called Rocky Mountain oysters, which are not oysters at all.
I've heard of these.
Yeah, they are something else. Well, they're in the ballpark.
They're in the balls court.
You put them in the ball section down the local corner shop.
Yeah.
I just want to point something out.
Yeah.
I want to point something out.
Hello.
Finny, the brand that makes camel balls,
Spanish.
Yeah.
are from the USA.
Oh, from the US.
No.
Yep, that makes sense.
They
Golden
just send
treats,
them all
yeah, we
over
get it.
here.
So don't blame us.
This one time, UK, you get off.
Usually it's our fault, but in this case.
Oh, we still sell them.
No, they're Spanish. They're Spain's #1 candy maker, and they're brand new in the USA. Wheels.
Well, they
It says
are
on their
still,
website.
they are still more likely to be found in the US.
I really regret this now. Matt,
They're
move on.
Spanish.
Move on.
Wills, do you want to read this one from Dave?
I'd love to, Matt. From Dave Commons. Hi, folks. I would love to know if there are good games to play in the vein of diplomacy that don't ruin friendships or that are good to introduce people to. I know Scythe can be played this way once the initial session is done synchronized, but what else is there, if anything? I feel this is a void in the industry. I have friends in many coasts. I have co-workers with different schedules. I know I am starting to really have a hard time with the isolation of COVID at this point. And while I'm playing more RPGs, having something asynchronous would be amazing. Thanks for all the great content, Dave Cummins.
Thanks for writing in.
Vastly asynchronous.
You can do it with Root Digital. Like,
Yeah.
you can take turns along a much longer schedule. So
Yeah, so I think the question here is: are there games that are digitized like diplomacy, like in the way that that Johnny was talking about in the podcast quite a lot, but are not going to destroy friendships? In which case, I've got nothing.
I think there's I think most decent board game adaptations now have some kind of asynchronous mode because people know that it's a very popular choice. So Root has really weird options where it's like you get 3 minutes for your turn or 3 days, and that's how they kind of like break it down.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say the other one that I know of is Through the Ages, which has quite a good asynchronous mode and is a great game to boot.
I talk about Board Game Arena all the time, a website where I like to play board games on, and you can play either in real time or you can play with 24-hour turns, and they've got loads of different games available, which is a really good option if you're looking for time between turns and stuff. But what?
And then you can play Tash Kalar, which is brilliant.
You can play Love Letter.
Board Game Arena, I really like Board Game Arena.
It's really good, and like the 24. I think it's 24-hour turns. Because they even do tournaments like that where you have 24 hours to take your turns and stuff like that. That's highly recommend because you've got a big selection of games there as well, and it's free. Like you can pay for premium, but you only get like a specific, like Love Letter is on premium, Carcassonne is on premium, I think. But like I actually didn't realize this before. If one of you has premium, you can set up the table and the rest of you can play, even if they don't.
That's nice.
And it's like 20 quid a year also, even if, it's well worth it, I'd say. been as someone who's been a premium member for a few years now, it's well worth it. Like, because they do really good stuff on there.
Someone who's been a premium member for quite a few years now.
Yeah, it's actually somebody bought me a premium membership for a gift a few years ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep being a premium member now. Good times.
We are not sponsored by Board Game Arena.
No,
But if you like a website, sponsor.
Yeah.
Support it. I was going to say, especially Dicebreaker.com.
Board Game Arena are adding games every day of December, right, as well. So
Yeah.
I think there's already a lot of games on there, but they're adding more as part of like an advent calendar thing.
Yeah.
Advent calendar.
yeah, I forgot that actually. Yeah. And they're doing like beta things as well at the moment. I know they've got like the Crew and some other games. They've got like beta versions, which is a new thing. They're like they've really changed the website a lot, especially in the last year. They've really upgraded it, and I think I saw somewhere that they have like 5 million members or something.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, like the membership just went like way up this year. And it's madness, but it's great because you can pretty much always find somebody to play something with. Like if you open a table, you just play with randomers, and it's great. And there's a rating system which usually ensures that people aren't like massive doobies.
Camel balls.
Camel balls. I don't know what a doobie is, but
Doobie, I think, is a drug cigarette.
oh, is it? Oh, I thought I just made it up.
Devil's letters.
Oh well.
What about you, Chase? Do you have any ideas?
I was going to say Board Game Arena because I've got a friend who has premium and has invited me to start playing some games. He's got about 10 asynchronous tables going at any one time, and he's playing it like I guess it gives him as much enjoyment as one full game, but he'll just spend a couple hours every night going through his tables, playing a couple rounds. And the one drawback is that it sends emails whenever it's your turn. Like it's 2008. You can? Great.
Yeah, because I don't have that on.
Good.
I don't think.
So that way.
Or maybe I do. I don't know.
Well, he turned it off because he was getting 400 emails a day about him being his turn. But yes, I'm just going to second Lolies in saying yes. Board Game Arena. I think it's the best way to go.
Do you just imagine your friend playing 10 games at once? It's like a very much less exciting version of the Queen's Gambit.
That's
Like,
exactly what I was thinking.
Can you imagine that? But like she's going around each table, it's like Carcassonne on one side and then Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
All right, Meehan, would you like to read this last one from Aaron?
I would love to. Aaron says, "Hello, Dicebreaker team. My 6-year-old daughter has begun to show an interest in more difficult games, and I was wondering if you had any recommendations. She understands the rules of and loves such games as Pandemic, Forbidden Island, Wingspan, and Root, though admittedly her strategy in the competitive games is a little lacking. Cooperative games might be the way to go, as I'm worried that she'll become discouraged if she keeps losing at competitive games. What games do you recommend that are as interesting and challenging enough for a 6-year-old who plays Root, and of an appropriate content level for her age group, and doesn't have such crushing defeats? I suppose I could start with throwing games, huh?
No, never throw games.
Oh God, Lolies. Not even for your daughter, your 6-year-old daughter.
I used to hate that because I used to like in my old job. I used to like do a lot of demoing, and I'd often see like parents throwing games on purpose, and I'm like, that doesn't teach them anything, surely. And it's like
this is like teaching kids for war. You can't kill a human. You can't be ready for it.
It's just like if the kid has a problem with losing, like play a game that they can legit win at. There's plenty of them there. Anyway, I'm first of all, I wanted to say I'm crazy impressed with this 6-year-old. So also going back to when I was doing like events and like demoing for kids and parents and whatever else. I find that I used to find that like parents seem to think that their kids are often like dumber than they are. Like I used to be like, oh, this game like your kid is going to be really good at, and I would explain the game and the parent just be like, I don't get it. And I think it was like the parent didn't get it, so they think their kid wouldn't get it.
Stupid, definitely.
Yeah, and it's like, no, honestly, your kid will get this. And I would sit down with the kid, and the kid would just like straight away just like smash it. So yeah, I'm really excited about this 6-year-old who's playing Root, because I've never even played Root, and it sounds hard from what I've heard.
Yeah. was going to say, if she can learn Root, she can probably play the vast
Okay.
majority of games. I don't think anything's going to be overly challenging. In all honesty, it would just be the content you decide is appropriate.
I mean,
Yeah,
more,
maybe do towards cooperative stuff if you're worried about losing too much.
yeah, a more complicated co-op game. Ooh.
Watch, for example.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, but
Gloomhaven is complex, but
The theme, though, maybe not.
that's
'cause
what I was wondering.
it's
I don't,
killing.
yeah.
I was
I
gonna
think
say,
because like Root is like child friendly, like the way it even like is designed. No, I mean,
it-
like the design of it and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
the theme is vicious, but
Yeah.
I've never played it again. So Azul,
Mhm.
that's not cooperative, but you should try that.
To be honest, Pandemic Legacy, or it's much simpler than Root, but it is a fantastic co-op game, and because it keeps evolving, there's always kind of new strategy, but you're going through it together. Like Mice and Mystics, also fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Those campaign games that just gradually introduce things with each session as well, just make it so much easier to teach.
Like, I'd say Stuffed Fables is probably too easy for your 6-year-old now. So maybe go on to Mice and Mystics.
Fabled Fruit is a quite good one.
Mm,
It's not cooperative either, is it? Is it? I haven't played it in ages. I can't really remember. I don't think it is.
I think so.
But that's a really nice one, and that's one where it kind of things keep changing as well. But it's just like a card game with fruit. With fruit.
if they could do
any other?
Root, I would say Mysterium.
That's a great call.
I think Mysterium. I would think I would be really interesting to see how a 6-year-old would do the sort of like cognitive like interpretation of images in Mysterium. I think that'd be really cool. And the subject matter it's like very colorful and bright without being too deep into the someone was killed and you got to figure out why stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't have to explain that bit.
Yeah,
Like,
it's no
The only
doubt.
thing with Mysterium is you need like a certain amount of players, really.
Yeah.
Like, what's the minimum? Like 3 or 4?
I think you can play with 2, as long as you got one ghost and one player.
I've never played with 2. I don't know how we would go. I've always at least had 3 or 4 people.
There's also Mysterium Park that came out this year, right? That's the smaller version, so that might scale down to fewer people.
I think the lesson to take home from this one is like your kids are a lot smarter than you think they are, and like whilst this particular girl that we're talking about is obviously very, very clever, like that doesn't mean that this is like an edge case. Like there's a lot of parents that probably don't give their kids enough credit. So my mum is a special needs teacher, or was rather. She's retired now, but a lot of the time she would find because she was a dyslexia specialist, she'd teach a lot of kids who would really struggle to sit down and read a book because they'd struggle to go through the lines. But if you gave them a video game, they'd read the tutorials and no problem because they're super engaged and like it sparks them to do something a little bit more challenging for them because they're super interested and involved in wanting to get the thing out of it. So a lot of the time, if you find a theme that your kid is really into, if your kid loves pirates and you find a pirate game for them, no matter how complicated it is, they will learn it.
Robinson Crusoe.
Not Robinson Crusoe. Don't play Robinson Crusoe, but they will learn it.
I mean, for Forgotten Waters came out this year, and that is a story kind of driven campaign game, and apparently is fantastic. I haven't played it myself yet for various reasons, but
Is Above and Below, is that cooperative?
yeah, I think so.
I've heard that that's quite popular with kids.
I don't think it is cooperative.
Oh, is it just?
Yeah, I think it's just it has adventures that you go on, but they're very, very small.
Okay.
I've played Near and Far. I haven't played Above and Below, but Near and Far is competitive, so I don't know if it's the same thing for Above and Below. But
Yes. Yeah, you are right. You're competing to build the best village. I mean, Charterstone as well. It's not the best of the legacy games, but it's strategic. It's got a nice kind of look to it. And again, I think, like everyone's just said, really just find something that you think is going to engage through the theme. And at this point, I wouldn't worry about how complex it is. I would just find a game that you're both invested in and go from there.
Yeah.
Maybe not like, what's that one? The power one? Power
Power Grid.
Power Grid,
Power-
yeah.
Power
Power Grid.
Yeah, that's a bit dry, that one.
And steer away from like Kingdom there.
Chocolate Factory.
I mean, even Cypher at some point is this. The theme is fine, like it's warring factions, but it's massively strategic. Any of those games, the kind of big hitters you'd expect. Like, no, I don't think anything is going to be more complex than Root. So
you could basically just say they're robots rather than mechs with people in, because you physically get punished for hurting other people's civilians. So yeah. There you go.
All right, that is all the emails we have time for this week. Thank you for sending in your emails. Once again, you can reach us at podcast@dicebreaker.com. Find us on Twitter, join Dicebreaker, head to dicebreaker.com. Before we leave you, video team, what have we got coming up on the YouTube?
I know. Don't worry. Today is Friday. Today is Friday. So tomorrow there will be a new episode of Dungeon Breaker. Starting a new arc, I believe, this week.
No, second
episode of the arc that we've just started.
Oh, okay. I have missed the last couple, so I don't know where we are. I mean, I'm on top of things. Don't worry about it. By now, we will have done some painting on yesterday's stream, and on Wednesday, should I say it, Wheels? I'm scared.
We are planning to do a playthrough of Pandemic Zero, which I think a lot of people have been quite interested in, based on Google Analytics. So we're gonna
wow, real peek behind the curtain there.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little playthrough to show off, because we have a review of the game, but we never actually did a let's play. And it's difficult to do legacy game let's plays because obviously there's spoilers. But we're just gonna play through like the sort of like demo scenario kind of like introductory thing to show off the game and show what it's like, because it's actually quite different from Pandemic. And it's, as far as I'm aware, it's not virus based. So hopefully,
no, it's not.
That'll make it a little bit easier to stomach.
Yeah, I reviewed it. It is fantastic. I think it's way better than I expected. I think it will surprise a lot of people, even if you're a little bit kind of apprehensive about the theme this year of all years. It's mainly Cold War spy shenanigans, rather than the spreading of a virus across the world, which, fair enough if that's not really what you want to be into right now.
Yeah, don't blame you.
Yeah. But of course,
Sunday.
The brutal spell of viruses could never be worse than the brutal spread of communism.
So, Lolies, just to clarify, this is happening this Wednesday coming up.
No,
2 days ago.
It would have happened. Okay.
Well, here's hoping it has happened by the time this podcast has gone out.
Time is wild,
But it hasn't happened yet as we're recording this, and this is why I'm nervous to mention it.
The day after Saturday, Lolies, will be in the future, even when the podcast goes out.
Yes, and what is the day after, Wheels?
Well, we're hoping it will be a let's play of Mechanica, which is actually going to be a sponsored video. So we're going to have the designers / the sort of studio representatives with us, showing us through the game, which is quite cool. So join us for that as well. And then next week, Lolies,
a whole other week is upon us.
It's because we don't drag out this bit at the end, isn't it?
Right. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know if it's going to happen or not. So let's just say that on Thursday, we are hoping to do a live stream of some Christmas party games for the whole team.
Wow!
Yeah.
It's really fun. So if you saw our previous one we did of this, where we played finger guns at high noon and drawful and all that kind of stuff. Not drawful, you know what I mean. Then yeah, very, very good fun. Looking forward to it.
Expect shenanigans and hijinks.
Shenanigans.
Shenaniganies.
Over on the website, Dicebreaker.com, we have, as of today, we have a piece looking at the Dungeons and Dragons movie from 2000, which turns 20 years old today as we record this.
Whoa, that's sick. That is sick.
So, yeah, Dan Jordan looked back on the kind of troubled development of it and how it ended up as what it is.
Yeah, a masterpiece, right?
It's really something.
20 years ago.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult to figure that out, but it is, isn't it? Like,
It's
just
all
believe that the year 2000 was 20 years ago seems logical, but also doesn't make any sense.
We also have already up, especially as of the time you listen to this, we have a list of the best Warhammer armies in 40k from Emma Partlow, who you may have listened to join us on the podcast last week. We're going to check that out. There's some fantastic picks. We have upcoming, probably live as of the time this goes up, Alex, Meehan, you've been looking ahead to 2021 in terms of RPGs.
Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great RPGs coming next year. One of them has Batman in it.
Oh.
There's some good ones on there as well.
And there's some good ones.
Wow, the shade.
There's really great RPGs coming up, and a Batman RPG.
By the time you're watching / listening to this, there'll be a list of the top RPGs coming out in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to catch up on the hottest role-playing stuff, then there's an article.
Fantastic. And also among the very many news stories and whatnot, we'll also have a retrospective looking back on how Magic the Gathering has fared this year from Jason Coles, who's been very kindly providing a lot of our Magic the Gathering coverage the last few months and doing a fantastic job of it. But he kind of looks back on how it's been in a year when no one can get together in the same room to play Magic together. And it's a really interesting retrospective, whether you're kind of into Magic or not. But before we leave you, thanks very much for joining us, Chase, and thanks so much for your contributions to the website over the last month and a bit. It's been fantastic. Where can folks find you if they're looking for more of your work once you're sadly no longer with us?
Yeah.
Dress
Once I am unshackled from the content mines in which editor Matt Jarvis keeps whipping content out of me. You can find
I'm so glad somebody's finally addressed it.
I get results.
Enacting shocks. That is a direct quote from Alex Meehan.
I never said anything about the whipping. I did say I was in the content.
Contractually, she's not allowed.
No.
But yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Chase Writes. That's WRITES. I'll post basically anything that I end up doing after this on there. I work in video games. I work in tabletop entertainment in general. You can hear my poor old cat coughing into the mic now. I'm so sorry. But, but yeah, so yeah, just head on over to Twitter, give me a follow there, and basically anything I do, you can find there.
What's your cat's name?
This is Xavier. He's a tuxedo, and he's 12 and just has a lot of idiosyncrasies, but he's still living large.
Oh, my cat is 15 and a half, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
Sprinting after each other recently, so they're a little bit more useful.
Right.
All right, yeah. But yeah, thank you again, Chase, for everything, for being on this, for you've made the website the last month for us. So I'm sure it won't be the last we see of you on Dicebreaker.
I'll miss you in the news.
Count on it. I know the thirst is leaving. Sorry.
It's just me talking to Matt about how I find covers of certain board games attractive, and then he just nods and says yes.
Cracks the whip again.
Please write this news story about Monopoly. And of course, thank you, Alex Lolies.
Hi, thanks.
Thank you, Wheels.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alex Meehan.
Thanks.
I've been Matt Jarvis. Thank you for listening. Take care out there. Stay safe. We'll be back next Friday with more of the Dicebreaker podcast. But until then, have a lovely day.
Bye.